I drove a dead man in my car. I know how this sounds, but I have proof. Or I had. The only ride of the early morning where something went wrong was exactly the one that disappeared from my history and corrupted my dash cam. I'm a rideshare driver. Early morning shifts, I've seen everything. Drunks, addicts, crazies, but never someone who was already dead before requesting the ride. It was 3 a.m. on a cold morning. The app pinged. Passenger David M. Destination Lake Meridian Park. Closed at night. I arrived at the address. An old house, completely dark, with an abandoned car at the entrance. I tapped, "I've arrived." The door opened. A tall guy came out, hood up, head down. He walked as if he were exhausted or broken from the inside. "David?" He only nodded. He got into the back seat. The interior light revealed his face for a second, too pale. The moment he closed the door, the temperature plummeted. My windows started to freeze on the inside, and the air filled with the smell of wet earth and something rotten. I looked in the rearview mirror. He wasn't moving, no breathing, nothing. I asked if everything was okay. He only said, "Keep driving." But the way he spoke sounded like someone speaking from very far away. My GPS glitching. The location jumped kilometers on the map. The route kept recalculating. The car's heat was on maximum, but my breath came out in white clouds. I looked again in the rearview mirror. He still hadn't moved, not a millimeter. We arrived at the closed gate of the park. I asked, "Where do you want to get out?" He raised his head for the first time, and the face I saw wasn't that of someone alive. Gray, without shine in the eyes. The mouth trying to smile the wrong way, as if he didn't remember how humans smile. He said, "Here is good." He opened the door. That horrible smell exploded inside the car, and then he walked straight through the locked gate without even deviating. He simply crossed through the metal and disappeared into the pitch black. I arrived home shaking. The next day I pulled up the dashcam recording. File corrupted. That exact one. All the other rides from that night were normal. Only his, erased. 3 weeks later. Body found in Lake Meridian Park. It was him. Same name, same clothes, same face. And the forensics reported he had been dead for almost a month. Meaning, he was already dead when he got into my car. Final proof. I took the SD card for professional recovery. The technician managed to restore 3 seconds of the internal camera. The image showed the back seat, empty, but in the audio, breathing, heavy, wet, like someone with destroyed lungs. And before the clip ended, a low voice, "Thank you for taking me home." The loop. After that, every afternoon, exactly at 2 p.m., the app sent me an automatic ride request. Passenger, David M. Origin. The same house. Destination, the same park. Same dead man. Same disappeared. And the house? I went to check on Google Maps. It doesn't exist. It's been an empty lot for years. But I saw the door open. I saw him enter. I drove him. I didn't accept any more of these rides. But they keep appearing. Every day. Always at 2 in the afternoon. And always with the same passenger. David M., the dead man who one day got into my car and maybe is still trying to get in again. I always thought working the night shift at an empty supermarket would be boring, until I realized I wasn't the only one there. And what was with me wasn't an employee. I was 19 years old and worked as a stalker on the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift at a large supermarket in the north zone of São Paulo. The place was enormous, silent, with corridors that were too long and lights that seemed dimmer at dawn. The night crew was small, 3 stalkers, 1 cashier, and the manager. It was simple, restock products, organize shelves, keep everything clean. But after the first week, I started to feel that someone was watching me. In the third week, I met Raphael. He appeared behind me in the cookie aisle, red uniform, crooked smile. He said he worked in the back stock room. I found it strange. Nobody had mentioned him. I asked the manager, and he was direct. There is no Raphael on the night shift here. I started to think I had misunderstood. Until Raphael appeared again. Always in the quietest moments. Always standing at the end of the aisle. Always staring at me before sliding behind a shelf, as if he were hiding. I tried to talk to the other stalkers. They all said the same thing. We've never seen this guy. One early morning, I decided to document it. I was on the second floor organizing USB cables when I felt someone watching me. I looked toward the end of the aisle. It was him, standing, smiling. I walked toward him with my phone in my pocket. When I was about 10 meters away, I realized something was wrong. He didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move. Then his head turned to the side, at an impossible angle, and his smile became too wide, showing teeth that wouldn't fit in a human mouth. He started sliding in my direction. It wasn't a step. It was as if his body was being pulled across the floor. I ran. The sound behind me wasn't footsteps. It was dragging, something scraping the floor too fast. I went down the stairs, almost falling. I shouted for the manager. The lights flickered, and for a second, everything went dark. I felt something cold touch my back. When the lights came back on, the aisle was empty. The manager ran to me. He checked the cameras and said the phrase I already feared. You were alone, in the aisle, the whole time. But I had taken a photo. I opened it on my phone. Raphael didn't appear, only a shadow. Impossible. A human form without contours, with 2 white points where the eyes should be. That was enough. I quit that same day. I thought that leaving would end the problem. It didn't end. The next day, on my way home, I heard footsteps behind me. That same dragging sound. I turned slowly. Raphael was standing half a block behind, motionless, smiling. I ran to the subway. When I checked again, he had disappeared. I thought I had freed myself. I was wrong. That same night, lying in my room, I heard footsteps in the living room. Heavy, slow. I opened the door, and I saw a tall shadow in the hallway. Not human. Stretched too much, motionless, smiling in the dark. I slammed the door shut. The thing scratched at the wood for minutes, going up and down, as if it were feeling every piece of the door. The police came. They found nothing. 3 days later, Raphael stopped appearing. Maybe he got tired. Maybe I stopped being interesting. Maybe he's just waiting. Today, 3 years later, I live a normal life. I work during the day, I sleep at night, and I almost never think about the supermarket. But sometimes, when I'm on the subway, in the reflection of the doors, I swear I see that crooked smile standing behind me, motionless, in the car next to mine. And I learned one thing about the night shift. Some aisles never become empty. Some presences don't go away. Some things just need you to look again. I never paid much attention to the noises in my building. It was an old construction with old pipes, creaking wood, and careless neighbors. But everything changed when I started hearing noises coming from the apartment below. This would only be a common detail if that apartment hadn't been empty for almost 6 months. The first time I heard it was on a Tuesday shortly after midnight. 3 slow knocks on the floor, exactly below my bed. Not like pipes, not like vibration. They were solid, rhythmic knocks. I thought it could be an echo from the apartment next door until I realized that the knocks responded to my footsteps. If I walked to the door, they shifted to follow, as if someone down there was following me through the ceiling. The next day, I asked the building superintendent about the tenant in 21B. He confirmed Empty. The previous tenant left at the beginning of the year. No renovation, no inspection, no visits. "Don't even go in there," he said. "The door got jammed and I still haven't called anyone to change it." That bothered me. A jammed door doesn't explain footsteps. In the following nights, the sounds got worse. What had been knocks became long scratches in my floor's wood, like nails passing beneath the surface. Then came muffled whispers, as if someone were speaking, but with their mouth pressed against the ceiling. I put my ear to the floor, and I swear I heard breathing. I tried to ignore it until one early morning, I was awakened by something new. Clear, slow footsteps walking through the empty apartment. I got up, went to the balcony, and leaned over to see the window of 21B dark, closed, but something was moving inside. Not a person, a shadow that seemed to follow my breathing. When I inhaled, it seemed to inflate. When I held my breath, it became motionless. I decided to go down and check for myself. It was stupid, I know, but the terror of not knowing was worse than the fear of discovering. The door to 21B was old, paint peeling, lock rusty. I touched the handle, too cold for a closed apartment. I turned it. The door opened without any resistance. The apartment was completely empty and smelled of mold. No furniture, no marks on the floor, no broken windows. But the air was hot, heavy, as if someone had just left. That's when I noticed the ceiling. Directly above me there were long marks, like scratches. The same ones I heard in my room, only from the other side. I took another step and something cracked behind me, like wood giving way. When I turned, the door was half closed, but what made my blood freeze was something else. There was someone standing in the corner of the room, tall, motionless, completely dark, as if it were only the absence of light. I couldn't see a face, clothes, nothing. It was just form, and it was turned toward me. I tried to film, but when I raised my phone, the screen went black. Only the microphone captured a strange sound, as if someone were breathing inside my ear. The figure took a step, or slid, I don't know, and I felt the floor vibrate under my feet. I ran to the door, pulled it, pushed it. Nothing. The wood seemed alive, moving under my hand. From inside the apartment came a very loud crack, followed by a whisper that didn't seem to come from a human throat. I don't remember how the door opened. I only remember being in the hallway, trembling and climbing the stairs almost on all fours. I locked my apartment and spent the rest of the early morning sitting in the corner, listening. At 3:09 in the morning, I heard something pass beneath my door, as if it were crawling. It stopped exactly behind it and stayed there, breathing. The next morning, I called the superintendent. He came down with me to 21B. The door was locked as before. When he opened it, there was nothing. No scratches, no heat, no marks. It seemed like a dead apartment. But something bothered me. In the corner where the figure had been, there were dark marks on the floor, as if someone had stayed there for a long time, watching the door. I moved out of the building the following week, but to this day, from time to time, I wake up in the middle of the night with the sound of scratches coming from the apartment below, and always in the same rhythm, the rhythm of my footsteps. If you made it this far, then you've already realized one thing. Stories like these don't end when people turn off the screen. They continue, waiting for the next moment of silence to return. And if you want to hear the rest, the next true stories, obscure cases and reports that never reached the public, then click like now and subscribe to the channel. We publish new files every week, and each one of them is more disturbing than the last. You won't want to discover too late that you missed something. Press subscribe, and I'll find you in the next file.